What up, everybody? Brother Mark coming at you once again with the condensed version of This Is Pro Football. This is for week number 10 around the National Football League. You can check out the full program on NowLive.com. That's the Now Live networks on NowLive.com. Internet radio, Sunday mornings, 7:30 a.m. on the East Coast, 4:30 a.m. on the West Side. What we're going to do right here now for you cats checking us out on YouTube, we're going to give you, like I said, the condensed version of This Is Pro Football. And what we're going to do, we're going to start with Thursday's game between the Cleveland Browns and the Denver Broncos. Cleveland was leading in the third quarter of that game, but led by Jay Cutler, the Broncos came back, made a rally, and they toppled the Cleveland Browns. Final score of 34-30. Jay Cutler, 3 touchdown passes, 447 yards passing, had a monster game. The Broncos defense is still abysmal as Brady Quinn, making his first NFL start for the Browns, threw for 239 yards, threw 2 touchdown passes to Kellen Winslow, had an excellent game, but in the end it was Jay Cutler and his precision passing that came back and beat the Browns in the dog pound. So with that, we're kicking off the rest of this weekend's games. First game on tap for Sunday, New Orleans at Atlanta. Now the Saints coming to this game trailing in the standings in the NFC South. They trailing the Falcons by a game. The Falcons playing well with young Matt Ryan at quarterback. The game's at the Georgia Dome. I actually look for the Falcons to win this game and pretty much of a, I don't want to say defensive struggle because the Saints do have the top offense in the league, but I do think in the end Atlanta's defense will overcome the Saints offense. Atlanta wins this game. Next game we got on tap, Tennessee at Chicago. Now this is another game that's going to be an interesting battle. You have the Tennessee Titans, who are undefeated, going into Soldier Field in the Windy City, where their starting quarterback Cal Lawton is out, or supposedly is out for this game. I think it will come down to a game time decision. However, he has a severely sprained ankle. Tennessee is undefeated, like I said. They're riding the wave of Kerry Collins, who's playing efficient football, if not spectacular. I actually look for the Bears to give Tennessee a hard-fought fight in this contest, but I do look for Tennessee to come out on top at the end. Next game we got on tap, Jacksonville at Detroit. This is an interesting game for a lot of reasons. Jacksonville is trailing behind in the NFC South, the AFC South, excuse me. In the AFC South, they're trailing behind the Titans. They're tied with the Colts right now. They're both like at 3-4 or 3-5. Their season's on the brink of going into the toilet. What I see from Jacksonville right now, I see Jacksonville putting up a hell of a fight to actually come back and win this, to come back and get into the race in the AFC South. However, Detroit, who's 0-8, really have nothing to play for. They got an interesting dynamic at hand for them on Sunday because Dante Culpepper, the former All-Pro quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings, will be the starting quarterback for the Detroit Lions. He just signed with them this past Tuesday, so he's relatively new to the offensive scheme and the system. So you better believe they're going to scale things back. But look for Culpepper at least a few times to put up some long passes to Calvin Johnson. I like what Detroit is doing, but I do think Jacksonville wins this game. Next game we got on tap for Week 10 across the National Football League is Cincinnati at Houston. This is not a game that's going to really interest too many people outside of the Queen City and the Houston area. But again, Houston is a long shot, but they have an outside shot at making the playoffs. However, their starting quarterback, Matt Schaub, he's going to be out for the next few weeks, courtesy of a couple of cheap shots by Vikings defensive end Jared Allen. So Sage Rosenfels will be playing in his spot. Sage Rosenfels, a lot of people might say, is actually a better quarterback right now than Schaub, though Schaub was playing well when he got hurt. That being said, I don't see too many people being interested in Cincinnati and Houston. Cincinnati's playing better over the past couple of weeks. I look for Houston, though, to win this game. Next game we got on tap for Week 10 across the National Football League, we got Seattle at Miami. Now, by contrast, this is another game a lot of people outside of maybe the Pacific Northwest and Southern Florida will be interested in. However, keep your eye on the Miami Dolphins. They're one game behind the rest of the AFC East. The Bills, the Jets, and the Patriots are all 5-3. The Dolphins are right behind them at 4-4. So here's a situation where they might creep up on the rest of those teams. And as a matter of fact, it's conceivable that the Dolphins actually could win the AFC East divisional title. The Dolphins have the easiest schedule in the league for the remainder of the season. So Look for the Dolphins to make a run with Chad Pennington playing excellent quarterback for them, and look for the Dolphins to actually win this game against Seattle. Next game we got on tap is Green Bay at Minnesota. Here's an NFC North, formerly the NFC Central. Here's a great matchup in that division. What you have, two teams that are tied for first place. You have a three-way tie between the Bears, Packers, and Vikings. But here's two of those teams that are tied for first place. Green Bay's traveling to Minnesota to play in the Metrodome. You got Aaron Rodgers, who's making everybody quickly forget about Brett Favre in Green Bay. He's playing very good football, though the team is 4-4. It's not his fault. It's the fault of the defense, and the defense giving up leads late in games. They're going into Minnesota, who's playing very inconsistent at quarterback. It was Tavares Jackson, now Gus Frerotte. But Adrian Peterson, he's still balling hard for the Vikings. He's second in the league in rushing behind only Clinton Portis. So you got a dynamic matchup there. Green Bay's going into Minnesota. Green Bay traditionally has problems playing inside of the Metrodome. So I do look for it to be a tightly fought contest, but I do look for Green Bay to actually pull this game out. They have a lot of weaponry at the skill positions, and I think it's going to be just a little too much for Minnesota to handle, even in the Metrodome. Next game we got on tap as we do week 10 of This Is Pro Football. We got the Buffalo Bills at the New England Patriots. Excuse me, Buffalo Bills at the New England Patriots. Here's another AFC East division, another AFC matchup here, another rivalry game of sorts. For those of you who check me out on 9live.com, you know what I'm getting at when I say a rivalry game. But again, Buffalo's at New England. They're going into Gillette Stadium. Right now, a lot of people are sleeping on the Patriots because of Tom Brady being out for the year with his knee injury. But Matt Castle is starting to play decent football. He's playing better. He's becoming more acclimated to the system. And remember, this is a kid who has really not played football since 1999 when he was in high school. So he's getting acclimated to the scheme, to the system, and look for big things out of New England coming down the stretch. But right now, I say that New England is going to beat Buffalo in Gillette Stadium tomorrow. So check out that game. Next game we got on tap, the St. Louis Rams at the New York Jets. Now we get into the Jets. What I think is going to happen here, Steven Jackson's not playing. He's going to be inactive for the game tomorrow for the Rams. For the Jets, David Harris, their middle linebacker, their young stud, he's going to be out. But overall, the Jets are just simply a better team. The Rams, they're firing blanks right now on offense. I see the Jets handling them, winning this game probably easily. Next game we got on tap is Carolina at Oakland. Carolina's at Oakland. Steve Smith for the Panthers, probably the best wide receiver in the National Football League right now, playing excellent football. Jake Delhomme playing very efficient at quarterback for the Panthers. They're going to go into Oakland. They're going to manhandle the Raiders. Jamarcus Russell might not even play. The Raiders are a mess. Al Davis looked to sell the team because it's over for you. You know, the time has passed you by. You was a great owner, but it's time to deviate or sell outright. Panthers win that game. Next game we got on tap is Indianapolis at Pittsburgh. Here's another game of the week right here. You got two of them. This is one of them. Indianapolis going into Pittsburgh, Heinz Field. Coach with Peyton Manning. Manning's not looking like himself right now, but they're starting to come around. They're starting to look better. They're going into Pittsburgh, where it's hard to beat their Steelers at. But the Steelers, they already lost there once to the Giants. So will they lose again? We'll see. I have a funny feeling Indy's going to go in there and upset the Steelers. Look for the coach to beat the Steelers in Heinz Field tomorrow. Roethlisberger might not play. It might be Byron Leftwich, who has a history of playing against Colts in the AFC South when Leftwich was with the Jaguars. So keep an eye on that. Next game on tap is Kansas City at San Diego. Not much to say here. Kansas City, they're in total rebuilding mode. They're a couple of years away. San Diego, they're hanging on by a thread for a playoff spot. They're a game and a half behind Denver in the AFC West, which has become a muck and mire division. But look for the San Diego Chargers to really blow out the Chiefs tomorrow. For the Chiefs fans, what you do look forward to, if you're a Chiefs fan, is look at Tyler Thigpen, your young quarterback. Look and see how he progressed. Next game we got on tap is the Sunday night game, which is really the game of the week. You got the New York Football Giants heading into the Lincoln Financial Field to play the Philadelphia Eagles. It's going to be an all-out NFC East slobber knocker, bloodfest brawl. Check it out. I think the Giants go in there, and I think they win behind Eli Manning, Brandon Jacobs, and that stifling New York Giant defense. The Monday night game, San Francisco at Arizona. Really nothing to write home about. Arizona's leading the NFC West. They run all over San Francisco Monday night. That game is going to be a blowout. Check me out